What's up, guys? I'm back, and today I'm reviewing the lovely, the wonderful, the amazing Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. And I'm outside because it's getting kind of cold down here in the south, and it just fits perfectly with the mood of this book because the leaves are falling, and this feels like a fall-time book, and it's so good, man. And I can't wait to talk about this book with you guys. I'm going to start out non-spoilery and then get into some spoilers. I actually have some notes with me this time. I've never had notes with me in a review before, and I always forget to put stuff in, so I just sat down before I filmed this and wrote down all the things I want to talk about, and so hopefully I'm not going to forget anything. So the basic premise of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is a boy named Jacob has had all these stories told to him by his grandfather about how his grandfather back in the 1940s during World War II lived in this home for peculiar children, a orphanage basically, that was run by this great old bird. And all the kids had crazy abilities. They could levitate. There was somebody who could eat out of the back of their head. There was a kid that had bees swarming around him all the time. And at first, when Jacob was a little kid, he actually kind of believed these. But then, as he got older, he started to think, no, these are just fairy tales. They're not actually real. So when Jacob is around 16, he's finally accepted that his grandfather was just making this all up to entertain him when he was a young kid. Waiting for a car to go by. But then, there is a tragic thing that happens in Jacob's life, and he, long story short, begins to go searching for this home for peculiar children. Now, this book was so amazing. It had fantastic atmosphere. The tone was just amazing, and the pictures had such a great tone to them, and they're all vintage black and white photos that Ransom Riggs himself found or he got from other people, and they're just so good. They tell the story so well. They help describe a lot of the things, and they help you picture and buy into this world that isn't real, but it makes you feel like it could be. All around, my non-spoilery review is that this book had a few slow parts, a few parts that I had a little bit of trouble picturing, but other than that, I absolutely love this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I cannot wait to continue on with the series. It is so good. Please don't get spoiled for this book because you don't want to. You want to go into this book not knowing a lot, which is what I did, and it made it so much better. I just love it so much. So yeah, that is it for my non-spoilery section. If you guys have not read this book, please go read it. I have a link in the description to one of Ransom Riggs' videos on YouTube, and it's called Talking Pictures, and it's about him going and finding these pictures and then putting them into the story, and it's just so good. I'll link it in the description. It's one of my favorite videos on his channel. All his videos are fantastic, but that one especially just stuck out to me. It's so interesting. But other than that, yeah, leave if you have not read this book because I'm about to jump into a huge spoilery section, so see ya! Okay, so I absolutely loved the intro of this book. It was so good. His description of Florida was so unbelievably accurate. I don't live in Florida. I visited like 4 or 5 times though, and a lot of people would have described it as sunny, but he described it as it actually is, and that's kind of run down and old and not very nice and just hot and like musty all the time, and rain showers and stuff like that. And you can definitely tell that Ransom Riggs grew up in Florida. Another thing that just stuck out so vivid in my memories whenever I think back to this book is the characters, because they were so good. The peculiar children, Jacob, all of them, they were amazing. Miss Peregrine, not so much. Miss Peregrine was a good character, but we didn't spend much time with her, and I feel like she was just kind of that old lady that everybody loved because she was like a grandma. Like, everybody loves her, like, really loves her, but sometimes she just gets on your nerves and you don't really want to be with her and stuff. That's how Miss Peregrine was to me. I love my grandma, by the way, just in case you guys are thinking. Enoch was a little creepy to me. I thought Enoch was like, okay, boy, you're kind of weird. But other than that, I thought he was really cool, though. Like, his talent is creepy, but it's cool, I guess. Millard was probably my favorite of the peculiars. He was just, I liked him from the very beginning. He's kind of like, he's just really cool, and I liked him a lot. He kind of had a sense of humor, but he was, like, wise at the same time. He was kind of like Horace, who I also really, really liked. He was like, his picture, he was like a little kid, but he looked wise. Like, he looked like a man-child. That's what he looked like. Bronwyn, Claire, Olive. Olive and Claire, I feel like, I hope that they get more, like, I hope they're in the future books more, but I really liked them. And there were times when the Peculiars, I started to get mixed up as to, like, what their abilities were and stuff. Like, Hugh and Horace, I think I mixed up a lot, because their names started with the same thing. I couldn't remember, okay, which is the guy that has bees coming out of him, who is able to, like, see the future. Fiona was creepy, too. Her picture was, like, weird looking. She looked like a hobo, but I ended up liking her. She was cool. The slow parts for me was his recovery / like, acceptance chapter of him being insane. I think it was, like, the 3rd chapter or something, where the police had told him, yeah, you probably didn't really see this thing. It's, like, PTSD. And your grandfather, all his stories just kind of, like, influenced you to believe in this thing that wasn't really there. And I think that chapter was a little slow, just because I feel like it took place over a long period of time, and he was just kind of, like, sitting inside, kind of moping around. He didn't really do anything. So I feel like that was a little bit of a slower chapter. It was interesting, but it was slow. And then I feel that the ending was a little slow in some parts. I feel like it could have been picked up for this huge finale. It was a big finale, which I'll touch on in just a second, but it was a little slow. Now, the finale for me was a little disappointing. I think part of the reason that it might have been is because there was about a week in between me reading the 3rd to last chapter and then me reading the last 2 chapters. I think that might have kind of taken me out of it, that I hadn't read in a really long time. But to me, it just kind of felt out of place, and it was a cliche. Like, it was pretty cliche. It was kind of like a video game to me, almost. Like, when they're in the lighthouse, it felt a lot like something that would be in a video game, or when the white Dr. Golan, who I think that was a pretty good surprise, though, that Dr. Golan ended up being the white. But his confrontation with the Peculiars when they were in the ice chest thing, and with the Hollow, I feel like that was a little too convenient that he ended up leaving, because he could have just shot him right there. He had a gun, but he was like, no, I'll let my Hollow friend deal with you guys. I was just kind of like, dude, you got to know that something's going to be up when it's like 5 against 1, and one of the people that is fighting the Hollow has fire that can just blow the Hollow away. I'm just saying, if I was that white, I would have been like, pop, 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 alright, Hollow, you can eat them while I go and kill the rest of the people in the loop. So I'll see you later, bye. But it ended up being a pretty good ending, and I did not expect the German submarine to come out of the water and have the bird cage, and I thought that was good. Let's see, I've already said I love the characters. The characters were amazing. They were super likable. The loops were fascinating, and I cannot wait to see more of those in future books. I'm glad that we've learned about leapfrogging, where you can jump from one loop to the other, and I can't wait to see how that comes into play in the future books. Because Ransom Riggs has said that the Peculiar, Miss Peregrine's trilogy ended with Library of Souls, and that series has ended, but he still wants to do stuff in the world. And when we got to the chapter where they were talking about all the other loops, I was like, how perfect would it be to do other books on other loops? Just pick any one you want to, and you can do a whole series on that. It might feel a little too similar to this. He might have to change it up a pretty good bit, but I feel like if he just picked any loop he wanted to, it would be so fascinating to learn about those other loops and just have like that perfect companion to this series. That is it for my review of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I really love this book a lot. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments, and we're going to do something a little different right here. So about a week and a half ago, I had filmed a video and I was going to upload it, but within seeing the finished result, I didn't really like it. It was a tag video, and it wasn't good. I was going to introduce this new thing that I do where I say, hey, click on this side of the screen right there to see the last video that I did, and click on this side of the screen to see a mystery video. Just any video that I have seen over the week. It can be a funny video, It can be like an actual cool video. It can be an interesting video. Whatever I want. It's gonna be age appropriate. Trust me. I'm not gonna get dirty with this. So yeah, click right here to see my last video. Click right here to see a mystery video. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I'll probably figure it out when I am done editing this. But yeah, it's probably gonna be awesome. This is gonna be a funny video. I'll say that much. This will be a funny video. So click here for the mystery video, and I will see you guys the next time that I see you. Caw-caw!